Chile is an outdoor enthusiast's dream destination, with landscapes ranging from the barren but beautiful Atacama Desert in the north to the jagged mountains and glacial lakes of Torres del Paine National Park in the south. However, to get to any of these destinations, you'll likely have to fly through Chile's capital city, Santiago. And whilst it may not rank among the world's top city breaks, we were pleasantly surprised by our week-long stay and found that the city far exceeded our expectations.
If you're new here, we're Kitti and Jon, and we love to travel and experience new cultures. Whether exploring our own backyard in the UK or what now feels like our second home here in South America, our passion for travel never seems to fade. We're currently exploring the south of this amazing continent, so make sure to subscribe if you'd like to see more adventures from the incredible countries of Chile and Argentina.
Santiago is one of the largest cities in the Americas, located in Chile's Central Valley region, which also happens to be where many of the country's best wineries and vineyards can be found. Because of Chile's long, thin shape, you're only an hour's drive from either the Andes Mountains on one side or the beautiful Pacific coastline on the other. We'll explore both of these later on in the video, but first let us show you around the capital city itself. Santiago is one of those cities that doesn't get the best reputation when it comes to safety, although we didn't experience any problems during our week-long stay there and felt perfectly safe walking around through the day. However, we made sure to do our research when deciding where we wanted to visit and where to base ourselves during our stay. In the end, we chose to stay in the Barrio Italia neighborhood, which is filled with restaurants, bars, and artisan stores, and is a popular place to eat, drink, and shop with both locals and tourists alike. However, we also think La Staria is a great place to be based, as well as anywhere along the Costanera on the south side of the river. Santiago is also a very easy city to get around, with a metro and bus routes that go all over the city. We pretty much exclusively used the metro system during our stay and found that it took us anywhere we wanted to go. You'll need to buy a BIP card first and load it up with enough money for your fares, then just tap away to your heart's content.
We began our self-guided city tour in the historic center, outside the impressive Palacio de la Moneda, home to the offices of Chile's president. We believe you can take tours into the building, but we decided to just admire it from the exterior. On the other side of the building is the Plaza de la Constitución, and then we walked up to the colorful pedestrianized Bandera Street, passing the Plaza Monvaras and the Grand National Congress of Chile building along the way, before arriving in the Plaza de Armas, which is Santiago's main square. The Plaza de Armas is bordered by many ornate buildings, including the Metropolitan Cathedral and the National History Museum, and is a bustling hub of activity as locals go about their daily business. Make sure to take a little time to soak in the atmosphere and get a quick picture with the Santiago letters. From the Plaza de Armas, we walk north to Parque Forestal along the Costanera, home to the National Museum of Fine Art, which is housed in a beautiful 20th century building. It is free to enter, so make sure to have a wander around the exhibition rooms and definitely make your way up to the second floor balcony for a great overview of the museum.
To end our city centre tour, we headed south to Cerro Santa Lucia, a small hill in the city that's been turned into a beautiful park with winding paths, monuments, and gorgeous city views. We found it fun to just get lost wandering through the gardens, not knowing what we would find around each new corner. Make sure not to miss the ornate yellow Neptune's fountain at the southern end of the park, which made us feel like we were somewhere in Europe. No matter where you are on the hill though, you'll always get beautiful views over the city, and as long as you keep heading up whenever you can, you'll eventually end up right at the summit with panoramic views of the entire city and mountains beyond. To end our first day exploring Santiago, we headed back to the Barrio Italia in the afternoon to walk along the colourful Avenida Italia. Street art lines the shop fronts on either side of this road, and delicious smells waft out from the many restaurants and bars. We couldn't resist some delicious local empanadas, but if you're looking for a great selection of eateries in Santiago, look no further than the Barrio Italia.
Our second day in the city was mostly spent around the Parque Metropolitana, which is spread over a huge area to the northeast of Santiago. Maipo. Before heading into the park though, we walked through the very photogenic Paseo La Villa in the Costanera. It's a cute little shopping street that could have been pulled right out of an English town, with the imposing Gran Torre rising in the background. From there, it's only a short walk along and across the river to the Valdivia entrance to Parque Metropolitana. There is so much to do in this giant park that we'd recommend allocating at least half a day for it. We chose to stay on the western side of the park from where we entered and began by hiking up to the Japanese gardens. Whilst we probably prefer the Japanese garden that we visited in Buenos Aires, this garden won us over with its location overlooking the Santiago skyline and Andes Mountains in the distance. The garden is very pleasant and relaxing to walk around, and when we were there in the autumn, the orange and yellow colors really added to the reds of the structures.
As you can see, the park is located on a giant hill, so it's nice that you can bypass those inclines by using the cable cars. We bought a round-trip ticket at the cable car station, which lets you ride the cable cars one way and then the funicular down on the other side. The views from the cable car as it takes you up to San Cristobal Hill are stunning, so sit back and soak it all in. Eventually, we reached the top and walked up to the sanctuary on San Cristobal Hill, which houses a church and monument. It reminded us of Montserrat Hill in Bogota and seemed to be a very popular place for people to come to relax, chat, and soak in the views. Once we were ready to leave, we headed to the nearby funicular station and rode it all the way back down the hill into the city.
One of the most popular day trips you can do from Santiago is a journey up to Cajon del Maipo, a canyon located to the southeast of the city. Our tour bus picked us up before dawn and drove us up into the mountains, where we stopped for an early breakfast of, you guessed it, empanadas. Then we carried on along the river valley a little bit further before turning off the main road and beginning the long climb up to Embalse El Yeso. Along the way, we stopped at a gorgeous lookout point, but little did we know that this would merely be a warm-up for what was to come. As we wound our way higher, the road turned into a dirt track and we eventually hit the snow line and the start of the El Yeso reservoir just as the morning sunlight began to creep into the valley.
This place is incredible. It's so beautiful in the morning light right now. The drive up here was a little bit sketchy. It definitely had like a fresh snowfall yesterday. It was raining all day in Santiago yesterday, but made the road like very icy. The views once you get up here in this light is just incredible.
One thing to bear in mind is definitely quite cold today. We can't wait for it to warm up properly. I mean, it's only just 9:30, so hopefully by after 10 o'clock it will be a little bit warmer and we can actually feel the strength of the sun, because we'll need that. Because my hands are freezing and I forgot my gloves. Silly mistake.
Definitely underestimated the chill factor of this trip. We're not prepared.
No, we're very silly. We do mistakes like that.
It's been so long as well since we've been like at altitude this high. You just get used to not being this cold all the time.
After spending about 45 minutes soaking in the incredible scenery, we began the descent back down to the river valley. Once there, we stopped at the very Swiss-looking Casa Chocolate, where we had about 30 minutes to browse the store and purchase any chocolates, cakes or ice creams. It was very pricey though, so we just spent the time admiring the unique looking exterior. Finally, we ended up back at our morning breakfast spot, which was a lot more beautiful in the light of day. There was a picnic lunch laid out for our group and wine to drink, which was a nice way to end what turned out to only be a half-day tour.
Our final day trip from Santiago was a tour to the cities of Valparaiso and Viña del Mar on the Pacific coast. We opted for a tour to do this day trip just because of some of the safety concerns we'd heard about visiting Valparaiso on your own. However, if you do fancy getting to Valparaiso on your own from Santiago, it's super easy on the regular buses that run between the two cities. The drive to get there took us through the Casablanca Valley, one of Chile's premium wine regions. We stopped at a wine shop along the way where we got to sample both blue wine, which is made using blueberries, and chocolate wine, which was understandably very sweet. There was a fantastic selection of wines and spirits at reasonable prices, so we enjoyed having a look around and taking in the views of the Casablanca Valley from outside as well. A short drive later, we began our tour of the port city of Valparaiso, which immediately made us think of Lisbon in Portugal. The city is laid out along the coast and up over numerous hills that rise up from the ocean. The best and most colourful areas of the city are up on these hills, so we initially took the Ascensor Reina Victoria funicular up to Cerro Alegre, where we got a beautiful view of the city.
After that, we walked along colourful streets filled with street art on every available surface to Cerro Concepcion, which is probably the most famous hill in Valparaiso. The views from here and from along Paseo Atkinson are incredible, so take some time to soak it all in. We then headed down into Pasaje Galvez, which was probably the most colourful and arty area we saw in this extremely colourful city. We were given about 20 minutes to look around the shops and admire the murals here. We particularly liked the one on the stairs, which only appeared if you stood in the right place at the bottom. Then we headed down the very appropriately named Escalera de Colores to get down off Cerro Concepcion.
After a quick drive along the coast, we arrived in Viña del Mar. If Valparaiso is the older, more historic city, Viña del Mar is its newer, more modern sibling. Our first stop was the Flower Clock, a functioning clock designed and built for the 1962 World Cup. We quickly moved on to the Funk Museum, an archaeological museum that just so happens to have one of only 2 original Easter Island Maui statues displayed outside of the island itself. Finally, we headed further along the coast to the Roca Oceanica, where we got stunning views back along the coastline to Viña del Mar and Valparaiso. We could even see the Concon dunes rising above us, although we didn't get a chance to go up and see them on this tour. As we mentioned at the start of this video, Santiago probably won't win any awards for best city break destinations, but that doesn't mean you shouldn't overlook it either. We had pretty low expectations coming into our visit, but left feeling pleasantly surprised by what we'd found. A modern city with a long and interesting history, set to the backdrop of the beautiful Andes Mountains and filled with gorgeous green spaces where you can escape that city hustle and bustle. With easy access to both the mountains and the Pacific coast, this is a great city to spend some time in before you head out to explore the rest of Chile's wealth of natural wonders. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed this video, make sure to give it a like and subscribe if you'd like to see more content from this beautiful part of the world. We also have a travel blog where we usually go into much more detail about all of the locations featured in our videos. If you'd like to learn more about any destination that you've seen, make sure to go to our blog using the link in the description. Otherwise, we'll catch you right back here on the next adventure in Chile.